Dr. J. Kessler, author and former president at Taylor University, once quoted, "Young people need something to hang on to, a culture connection, a sense of their own past and our hope for their own future. Most of all, they need what their grandparents can give them." I was fortunate enough to have that with my grandfather. His name is John Frederick Melinda. Unfortunately, he passed away around 9 years ago. It is impossible to describe the pain of losing someone so special in my life, especially because he had an impact since the day I was born. John Melinda not only was a family man, but he also worked very hard for everything that he had. He had a big heart and he always wore it on his sleeve. He had a goofy and witty personality that not a lot of people could understand. But not only that, he was a remarkable husband. First, I want to give a little insight into his early life. He grew up focused on helping his family instead of having materialistic motivators. He had a sister that was diagnosed with melanoma at a young age and died at 18. My grandfather married my grandma Nancy in 1966 and had 3 children together: my uncle Mike, my mom Laura, and my aunt Lisa. He got his bachelor's degree in engineering at the University of Milwaukee. I find that very special because I also go to the University of Milwaukee, because that's a special connection that we have together. He worked 30 years as a quality control engineer at Briggs & Stratton, always working very hard. The best way that I can describe my grandpa was a cheapskate. Growing up, the entire family knew to stay away from the chips in the cupboard because 9 out of 10 times they were probably stale. He also would buy clearance Halloween candy when they were on sale and then put it out for the next year. I learned when I was older that he only was like that because he didn't have much growing up, and he was always, taking everything as it was and was very, very grateful for everything that he had. My Aunt Lisa recalled when she was younger that he would wash her hair with cold water to save money on hot water. Regardless, he always found a way to provide for his family, even if it was a struggle at times. He always had pride in being the provider and the rock of the family. My Aunt Lisa always remembers that every time it was her birthday, he would be the first person to call her at 4 in the morning and sing her happy birthday. We would always laugh because we knew no one else in their right minds would be awake that early. The Christmas after my grandma passed away was a very special one for the entire family. My cousin and I were getting a little older, and my grandpa didn't know what to get us anymore. He knew we didn't really like Barbies, and we didn't really like Tinkerbell anymore. So he ended up getting us a jewelry set. I still have it to this day, which is really special. The main established characteristic of my grandfather was he was very silly and very goofy. I always find myself thinking you had to be there to completely understand his personality. He would always make these breakfast burritos every time we would go up north to the cabin. There was something called the Melinda Special, where he made a very special burrito for you. It would consist of peanut butter, pickles, and dog treats. Let me explain. My older sister Ashley recalls getting a breakfast burrito on our way up north to the cabin one day. She took a huge bite, realized there's something crunchy in it. She looked, and there was a dog biscuit in there. We asked my grandpa, and of course he denied anything, so it's kind of a mystery how it got in there. My grandpa and my mom also went on a cruise a few years before he passed away. He noticed there was a synchronized swimming competition going on, and him and his Speedo, he decided to jump in and join in the competition. He ended up winning a trophy. He always did stuff to make us laugh and question why he did what he would do. My grandfather also had an obsession with the Facebook game Farmville. I remember when I was around 12 years old, he would post on my wall saying, "Brittany, your farm is disgusting. You should be ashamed." He also called my Aunt Lisa at the early morning and was almost in tears saying, "I lined up all of my animals and they all escaped and now I have to start all over again." He took that game very seriously. Also, every time he'd pretend that he was sleeping, he would fake snore and he would say a bunch of things in gibberish like, "No, no, 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 no." We never really understood it. But if he ever talked about boys, he would always say, "No boyfriends." We're like, "Grandpa, we thought you were sleeping." It was always so funny. One time, my grandpa was going to the bathroom in the middle of the night, and he fell into the wall and left a hole. So naturally, he went to Walmart and bought himself a helmet. And he actually wore that helmet pretty frequently. My Aunt Lisa has a picture of him wearing it somewhere. I would die to see it. Honestly, I would do anything to take a bite of that dog treat breakfast burrito. I would do anything to be in front of him at the swimming competition. I would even keep up with my Farmville and get a matching helmet to wear with him. The final and most important thing in my eyes was his relationship with my grandma, Nancy. At the funeral, something really special happened. It was one of the most heartbreaking moments of my life. Naturally, my grandpa didn't want to see my grandma in the casket. So once the service started, everyone was silent. You could hear a pin drop. He walks in, he throws his hands on the casket and cries out, "Oh, my bride." That right there was the most defining and heartbreaking moment in my entire life. In conclusion, John Melinda is someone that everyone should have had the chance to know in their life. He showed his commitment to his family, his caring heart, and his witty and funny personality. As American writer Bessie Anderson famously quoted, "He has achieved success who has lived well, laughed often, and loved much. No matter how many years go by, I will never stop missing you, Grandpa."